What we're going to do is clean out this channel here. That's meant to have stuck, but that ain't sticking for shit, so that's fine. What we're going to do is put a base of mortar all along, put our first row of block in, which isn't going to be the decorative type, it's going to be the concrete type. Get a nice level, hopefully get it somewhere around there, and then once that's in we can start leveling up. So we've got a nice 4-in-1 mix, that's mixed up nice now, it's all kept together and tumbling, so we know that's a good mix. And let's get it pumped in the line. Probably need to add extra mortar in places because that brick's a bit proud, that brick's a bit there, so make a good foundation. Well, ideally you want to wet this down, so we're going to wet that. Just going to soak this in, make sure there's no lumps and bumps anywhere. This will help the mortar to stick. And we just have to have quite a bit of pug down there just to build that up. First we're going to set it out though. I'll show you how I like to set out while this is soaking in. There's a lot of shit in there, I've got to take all that out. Wetting it down helps you see the area you're coming off as well. Hopefully this water at the bottom is perfect. Right, you can't guess these things, you just need to construct and see where it all ends up. Okay, so we're going to measure our distance left to right, and then we're going to transfer that distance to a wall like that that's already built. Then we're going to shuffle the distance so that we can see what size cut we've got on our end, so that they're nice and even. We're going to come all the way to the end. So let's just make sure we've got a straight tape, as straight as. That's about 4940. And if we transfer that to this wall, we can see exactly where our blocks are going to sit. If I go to that end lintel, that's a full block. And we're going to do 4940, 4940, which is pretty much a whole block. So that's perfect. Our first row is going to be one straight uncut block. And it's just going to be half as we go. Oh, I've got to come all the way down here for some water. All the way up there, all the way here. Plane's going off every 10 minutes. This is our mix, 4-in-1, so that's 4 sand, 1 cement with a fed mix in the water. And that's how you want it to look, all split. That's a perfect mix. Chuck some water straight in there. We're going to put 12 shovelfuls at a time in there, which is about a bucket and nearly 2 buckets, not quite. But if we leave that running in there, we've got no worries. Got a new Marshall tan, 10-inch. Let's get our first layer down. No spot board, just don't have the space. And then just bring that out like that. And we're just going to make a nice bed for the block to squish down onto. Right at the airport on this one, just so I've got a nice line to follow, I'm just going to expose that brickwork there. And we could just take all the stones out and chuck it back on top. So the line's about there. I'm just going to follow that original brick line rather than mucking around with all the strings and that. So just slide it through and just spread it a bit. Then we need to make this bed a little bit thicker than we need to, just so that we can tamp it down to where it needs to go. And we're just going to follow that front line. Then knock a little bit of this corner out so that we can overcome that. So maybe a bit more. Not the easiest blocks in the world, but hey ho, no, quite a bit more. But we've actually got one here. Somebody got half of it missing, so we could just use that, hopefully. Okay. And we got this one down now with a little bit of a mortar line there. You see the level needs to go that way, and it also needs to go that way. Double check it. It's good to me. Make sure no knots are putting you off. That looks almost perfect. Lovely. And then we're just going to follow that brick line there. First we need to check the other side. And see that side is overhanging slightly. Right. That's that first block laid, and then the next one will fit nicely into that joint. We're not going to worry about that side because that side looks out, but we're just going to make sure this line here is completely level, just like that. Right, let's put another one down. Just going to slap some like that. Ain't got to be pretty, we're going to fill it in anyway. And then we're just going to butt this block to that point, like that. Find that line again, that's it, and then give it the old tap down until it's nice and level, and fill that perp up. And then just, so we've got nice full joints. This bit's going to be underground, so it really doesn't matter for now. And just got to make sure that is on level. Nice. Tap slightly bigger level on this one. The levels are just going to get longer as we go. And we know that needs to go in line. So this is called the range, and that's what we're going to make sure. And then make sure there's a nice 10mm gap in there. Let's use that corner of the trowel just to scrape it away. It's not going to look pretty from the first course, but it will as we go up. It's going to take a bit more care and attention as to not mark the bricks. That could still go down a little bit. Check the range again. While it's all wet, you've got a chance to move it all about. So check that. So this needs to lean back a bit like that. Nice, and then double check that range again. Okay. Beautiful, that's looking good. Now we've got our third block down, we're going to move on to the longer level. I'm just going to pop that down there so there's no snots anywhere. So it looks like this side needs to come up a little bit, and we'll just pick up the block, put a bit of pug under, and then we should be back in level. And then we can just, yeah. Now I've got my first cut of rows in, I can set up my line, and we're just going to move everything to this string line and make sure that it's all tickety-boo. Okay, so it should be just touching. So I've just cut this block with the underside missing like that, and then that'll bridge over to there. Oh baby, sitting in the morning sun, I'll be watching the tide roll in. So I've got my first row in there. It's not the prettiest, but I'm happy with that. And what I can do is build up some corners and then use that with my line and pins later on to strike the wall to. Just to make this wall secure, bottom, just going to bench in that bottom course. So just smooth in all the mortar so the wall's got a solid foundation. Right, there's the brickwork up to now. And we're going to come back on Tuesday and then start building up the next layers. Got a DPM down.